welcome to Zaragoza. I would like to thank you all for joining us here at the World Water Experience. As you know, this is the 5th week of the Zaragoza Expo, and the theme of this week is water supply and sanitation, with a focus on social accountability and consumers counting.
Welcome to the people in Zaragoza, but special warm welcome to the people in Kampala, Uganda, to our friends in Tegucigalpa, Honduras, to our friends in Lima, Peru, and to our friends in Nairobi, Kenya.
Late 93, a tropical storm caused major damage to the infrastructure supplying drinking water to Puerto Cortes. The lack of water supply for approximately 2 months and the lack of timely response by state institutions who provided the service forced both local authorities and the population to realize there was need for finding a local solution to the problem. This was a decentralized management setup that was carried out through institutional strengthening program, creating the bodies that could have a solid basis to deliver quality service. There was also broad citizen participation at different agencies and bodies for the decision-making entities, and implementation of an investment program attempting to improve the quality of service and operating conditions, but also expanding coverage of water, drinking water and sewer services. The components of this management system consist in creating a company with autonomy to guarantee proper delivery of the service and at the right level of quality.
Thank you very much, Dario, for that very interesting example. And now we'd like to turn to Kenya, to a civil society initiative done there using citizens' report cards in 3 major cities, in Mombasa, in Nairobi, and Kisumu.
The reason for the citizen report card, main areas of focus for in the process of citizen report card, the findings, and lastly, impact, just briefly on each of the categories. First of all, let's start with the definition of a citizen report card. Citizen report card is a governance tool used to provide feedback to public service agencies on the strengths and weaknesses of their work. The citizen report card facilitates developing of priorities on reforms and corrective actions by drawing attention to the problems highlighted and facilitating cross-fertilization of ideas and approaches by identifying good practices. Why was it necessary to carry out a citizen report card in Kenya? One, the focus was to strengthen citizen voice and put in place mechanisms for dialogue on urban water, sanitation, and solid waste reforms. Secondly, to determine consumer satisfaction level regarding services provided by the utilities. 3, to assess impact of reforms from consumer perspective. And lastly, to improve stakeholders' understanding of urban reforms and issues affecting them.
Thank you very much, Henry. And the key 2 questions that we'd like you to focus on are, why do we need social accountability in the water sector? And what do we mean by that? I mean, I know in Peru and in Kenya already they have given us examples of what it means to them and what they have done.
I think that the experience that we've had in Barranquilla regarding the so-called super clientes or super customers, they're being able to earn points and then have discounts in their invoices. With regard to Kenya, I have a question I would like to pose. But which of the organizations which provide water and sanitation in, let's say, Mombasa or Nairobi, the 3 cities where the system has been implemented, once having obtained the results as a result of the report cards, what has happened? Because I ask this question because I think this is a critical issue. What is the next step to be taken, or to be taken by the surveyor, the person who is obtaining this feedback from the consumer, him or herself?
So the next step, like I mentioned, the service providers were able to give commitments in terms of what they're going to do to address the various recommendations. So we have what we call action matrices that were developed out of the report card, and these stipulate exactly what areas that the service provider are supposed to focus on in terms of improving the services. So through these action matrices, we will be able to monitor the activities of the utilities, so that we can be able to see exactly what kind of actions they've taken to address some of the issues that were highlighted in the report.
I wanted to know about the cost of initiating this. How much does it cost? What does the follow-up involve, and how much does it cost? Who has been funding this, especially in Kenya? And also the challenges. Hasn't there been resistance? It is not easy people to succumb to being scrutinized and so on when they have the power in their hands. Some challenges. I would wish also to hear more about that.
I'd like to just also add to your comment regarding, did the tool come from the water sector alone, and add that indeed the Citizen Report Card tool was first developed by the Public Affairs Center based in Bangalore, India, and they were the first ones to institute this idea of consumers themselves monitoring the service providers. And they did not look at water and sanitation alone, but they looked at other services. They looked at health services, they looked at education, they looked at roads, they looked at a wide range of service providers, and they were able to use the tool to compare the performance of various utilities.
The Ombudsman Office has been receiving complaints since 1996 when we opened our doors. These are complaints against the companies that provide services, as well as the regulatory organizations, through 37 offices that we have nationwide. Once we receive these complaints, the Ombudsman Office, through the Division for Public Services and the Environment, conducts a whole series of investigations which allow them to publish the so-called defense or advocacy reports. In 2004, we initiated a piece of research together with the support of the U.S. AID agency and IVIC in Canada and the Belgian Technical Cooperation Office, plus the support that the state itself has given us, for this is a public organization of a constitutional nature which is part of the state, but which is separate from the government as such.
I think we already heard a number of other processes that are going on in countries which kind of are strongly linked to consumer accountability tools. One is the one of decentralization that people in Honduras mentioned, and the responsibility of municipalities that François Briquet in Peru mentioned.
It's pretty clear for us in Zaragoza, in the Water Tribune, that users' accountability is becoming a necessary condition nowadays. But I have a couple of reflections. First, it is clear for us that accountability is not a solution by itself, but rather a means for acquiring an appropriate solution. And we should work into that direction, not trying to sell a panacea, but being clear about the whole perspective and the potential of having accountability, and at the same time having transparency.
I think it's a good reminder that progress and innovation is made up of local initiatives and local successes and local failures before they can become sort of these good practices, best practices, which then can be shared and can sort of lead to a broader process. So thank you very much for making the effort of bringing in a very clear way out these experiences.
So thank you very much for being with us and joining us in this World Water Experience. Bye. Thank you.